Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of Podcast of Five Rings. Holy crap, it's been 26 episodes already. Your source of enlightenment, their own video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes, Soundcloud, now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice listed in the description below. I'm your host, Jim, and overseer Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian, joined by the wall that will not fall, Tetsuo.
Hello.
Hello. Dark Fortune Duelist, Meta.
Sup?
Crazy.
You stopped yourself right in the middle of your sentence just to say 26 episodes. It was like you just hit this sudden moment of realization.
Yeah, I did. Exactly. That's like
over half a year.
No.
Yeah, that's I mean, normally people when they do this kind of stuff, they point out like the 50th episode and the 100th and stuff, but I was just like, oh, we're halfway to 50 already.
That's actually
holy moly. We started this little venture six months ago. And of course, like I was saying, you did not strike first tonight, sir. Don't let him lie to you people. He showed up late. The crane was late.
Fashionably late.
He lost that duel.
Fashionably late.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that.
The hero always arrives just in the nick of time.
Oh my god.
All the best swordsmen let the opponent strike first.
That's not true.
That's the honorable way
I
to
know
do
it's
it.
not.
And that is the resident off guard bow.
Yo.
Mo. So what's everyone been up to lately?
I mean, I already mentioned it, but I've been just reading Starfinder like all week.
Yeah.
I want to play it so bad.
So do I.
Yeah, we're starting a campaign on Monday, so I made my character today.
The jelly cannot be more jelly than I am right now.
Yep, it's Macross time.
Oh, I want to play that game so badly. I love the stuff you can do with it. I honestly, earnestly do love the fact that you can craft just better weapons. It actually makes
cool.
crafting feel good. Like, I could buy it, but I could craft it. And it gets bonuses if I craft it.
It's super cool.
Oh.
What about you, Tats? What have you been doing? Keeping that cat in line?
Trying to.
Meow!
You should name the cat Catty Wampus now.
You should.
If you ever get another cat, name it Wampus. Oh, your wife will never let
that's
you do that.
the mascot for Discord.
It is.
Daddy Wampus?
No, just Wampus.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it'll like sometimes be like
Oh
when
yeah,
you
I've seen that. Yeah.
boot
Wampus
up or
is
something
hungry
goes
or
wrong.
something.
Yeah, it'll talk about Wampus.
Well, that's very apt now. What are you doing, Mal? What's going on in the world of Mal?
Just lots of video games still.
What video games are you playing?
I'm playing.
Something you're going to talk about later, I'm sure.
Yeah. And lots of Fire Emblem Heroes, actually. I got back on that, playing a lot more. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I blame
It's
Lily.
pretty fun. No, I mean, I basically log in to get the orbs, but now I'm actually team building and stuff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's been sucked back in.
I'm about 95% sure I'm going to go try and get an SNES Classic at midnight tonight.
Shocker.
God help me. Well, you know, you got to talk about it next week on the podcast. All 20-something games. I have to play them all by then. No, I'm not going to.
See, you could just get a Raspberry Pi and play, all of them.
Yep.
I mean, I could just download them on my computer and play them too, but whatever.
Right, but I mean, you can make your own SNES Classic.
Oh, yeah, I could.
Yep.
To the power of Raspberry.
You could probably buy an old SNES and hollow it out and replace it with a Raspberry Pi. I'm pretty sure I've seen that before.
Yeah. Or at least I know I've seen it with the original NES anyway.
Well, I'm too lazy to do that, so I'm just going to shell out $80 instead.
Right. Well, if at least you don't get it this time, I think they said they're going to make more, right?
Yeah, they're making more NES classics too. I didn't care as much about that one, but this has so many games from my childhood. So.
Which one? Which is the top few on this one?
On this one, Secret Mana's on there, Earthbound, Final Fantasy VI, and of course you got games like Kirby, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Castlevania 4, which I haven't played in years. I really want to play that again.
Nice.
So
Well, good luck.
Yeah, and then some I don't care as much about, like F-Zero and Mario Kart original. And
They always got to do that. Then they put like balloon fight on the first one. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Nintendo loves their balloon fight, and no one else does.
They'll have Balloon Fight Switch here before long.
Right.
Don't joke.
They
Don't
never
have
really did Balloon Fight again after the NES, did they?
No.
I don't know.
The cards?
Did they?
Yeah, it was definitely on the 64 and on the whatever one came out on the Wii.
Oh, weird.
That my
Wait,
wife has.
like actual new like variations of the game, or they just
Balloon Fight.
released it in the Nintendo variation of it for like new systems.
No, it was part of the Mario Kart. Unless I misunderstood what you guys were saying.
Balloon fight is a Nintendo game specifically.
Right.
Oh, I thought you
You're
were
thinking
talking
of the
about
battle
Mario Kart.
mode.
Yeah, I was
no,
thinking
no,
the
no.
Mario Kart
Yeah.
balloon fight.
That's on the
where I was
new Mario Kart 8
Yeah.
Deluxe.
It was on the arcade, and then the NES, and then the NEC, and then the Sharp, and then the Sharp,
Yeah.
something else, and then the Game Boy Advance.
Well, one day we'll do a balloon fight topic, but today is not that day.
I will just take that day off.
Yeah, probably same here.
Me too.
I could not.
No
care
one shows
less.
up. It's just a picture of balloon fight on YouTube for 15
For like-
minutes with
for
no
like
one saying
an-
anything.
for an hour, just balloon fight pictures.
Oh my god, I just had an idea. We'll talk about it later. But anyways, all right, Tetsuo, get into your topic.
Well, I mean, I know we were talking about games in general, but you guys saw that L5R has officially said that they're doing a new RPG, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You guys sound so lackluster about it.
We kind of all know we're going
No,
into
I
a
mean-
fire with this one.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I have no particular attachment. To
I'm excited to
The old
read.
system still exists, so I could go play for it.
I'm excited to read, not necessarily to maybe play, but go on.
Yeah, well, I was saying, I know, because one thing that they did mention that I know a lot of people were worried about, since it's now a Fantasy Flight property, is whether or not they were going to introduce dice. And the article didn't give us much information on the RPG.
They mentioned custom dice mechanics, which
Yes.
could mean. I mean, is that mechanics that use custom dice, or just new mechanics?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
It's very vague
Yeah.
and nebulous, but
Yeah. it is.
But like all of Fantasy Flight's RPG stuff uses custom dice.
until the reprint
thing.
of Weston Star Wars comes out, but
So there's a good chance that it'll be one. I mean, I don't mind the narrative dice that they use in their other RPGs, but I know that it's a bit of a polarizing topic in the
definitely
gaming
contentious.
community. Yes.
Very
It's,
contentious.
I was
It's
curious your
yeah.
thoughts on it.
Well, you've I think we were talking about this. You're the only one who's played with specialty dice, right?
Yeah.
So
I think
mean,
so.
some people might not know what they are. So explain to our audience what specialty dice are, in case people just don't know.
And in general, the term would refer to any dice that are specifically made for a system. In the case of Fantasy Flight, and specifically their Star Wars RPGs, they take your regular old D6, I think it's D6, D8, D12, and D20. But they replace the numbers with little symbols. And the symbols will represent things like success or failure, a boost or a setback, those kind of things. And as you roll the dice, you would cancel out. So, like, say you rolled 4 successes and 3 failures. Well, the 3 failures will cancel out 3 of the successes, leaving you with 1. So you succeed. But maybe you might roll 4 disadvantages and only 1 advantage. So even though you succeeded, you're still getting a disadvantage. So it encourages more of that narrative play in addition to the mechanics. But I know some people don't like that because then they feel like they're locked into how they have to behave, which isn't necessarily true. I don't know. It's some people feel like they're locked in place with their RP that they have to do. They feel like the dice choose their. Isn't necessarily the case. I don't feel like. it's more just kind of gives you an idea of certain. I mean, it's no different than saying you're going to roll and you fail your roll, and then the GM says that this bad thing happens or whatever. If anything, I feel like it gives the player more narrative input into how something negative may happen to you.
Yeah,
but that's kind of like that's the really rough gist of it. That's a very rough overhaul of it.
Yeah, and from where I approach it, like the system itself could be, I mean, good as far as we know. I mean, we have to look at it and play tests with it and stuff and actually play the game to really determine that. But it's just the DOS themselves for me. Like, I already have DOS. I want to use the DOS I have. I don't want to have to buy new DOS that I can't use for another game. It's...
Well, they probably will map to other dice, I would guess, because it's going to be a beta, so you're not going to be able to buy custom dice.
Yeah, for sure. When you're testing
and that's
the
the thing, because again, too, like, the dice are D6s, D8s, D10s, D12s, whatever the different dice are, and they do make, and I think you can get it, just download it from Fantasy Flight itself, where it's like, if all you have is normal dice, well, a roll of a 1 on a d6 is this result, a roll of a 2. Now, yeah, that means you have to reference a chart and everything, but there's a lot of online dice rollers that now have worked that into their mechanics, so that way you can... I'm finding more and more online dice rollers are allowing you to use Fantasy Flight's custom
awesome.
dice in their systems. So it's not as hard to, I guess, get your hands on the dice, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I think that's fine for like an online game or something, but when I'm like actually at tabletop, I don't like using
that's
virtual
understandable.
DOS personally.
I think for me, like, why I've never like utilized them. I'll stick that right off. So take this.
Yeah,
for
I haven't either. So,
but like having.
I mean, we played
seen...
Fate, which have its own
Well,
dice.
I meant like these die, not Fate
Yeah.
die. Just in specifically these items. Let's be very clear. These specific dice for Fantasy Flight's storytelling style dice. I generally like numbers. That's just like, let me start right there. I like numbers. I like numbers dictating how something's going to happen. I like that I might have a low number here, but I have a high number here. I like that kind of thing. It's not to say that it's better or worse, but for me, I like figuring out if I got, like if I hit over a threshold and that means success or failure. I don't really want to have...
I think these use that, right? It's the number of successes.
Yeah, well, but I see where Meta's coming from, is that
it's
you're
but
just
those type of
just look at the raw number in the DC as opposed to...
Yeah. As opposed to like, you either get a boost, or your opponent gets a boost, or some circumstance comes up that's a benefit to you, or a circumstance comes up that's a benefit to them. I don't really care for that all much, because that means you kind of have to be quick on the fly to think of like exactly in contrast to what that bonus is. Then you have to think of a bonus that is appropriate to what that style of bonus is. And that's where it's just, I don't really want to do that. I kind of want, like, my action is I want to shoot the guy. And I know it's very simple, and I'm certain like somebody's probably out there going like, it's just, you have to do this. It's so easy. But to me, it's just like, I want to shoot the guy. Yes or no.
Well, and perfectly into that, one of the cons, and I will say that this is a con even for me, is that you have to take the time to go through and go, okay, these two cancel, these two cancel, these two cancel, these two cancel. And then not only are you looking at your successes and failures, but you're looking at the other 3 kinds of results that you can get. And so you start to lose some table time just because you're shuffling through the dice. Whereas when you roll a d20, there's your result.
yeah.
And over the course of a night, in one roll, you're losing 10 seconds. But over the course of the night, over every single roll, that means, you're possibly losing... What's the time? Oops. Ooh, sorry. I almost knocked something over. But yeah, so you can lose more time. It's less time playing and more time just trying to calculate dice rolls, and that is a valid con to them.
They don't really bother me that much. I mean, I've not played any games, but I wouldn't mind to. I don't really feel like it's necessary to limit a system to one form of dice necessarily. Like, I mean, board games have plenty of specialty dice
Yo,
It's not like people were like,
God,
nope.
all over the
you-
place.
They're like, nope, you can only use one type of dice. No, innovations or whatever. It just seems would be too restricting.
Right.
yeah, RPing just feels. I mean, it's a little bit different, I guess, just because for me, it's just you buy your dice, you use them for every single game. You don't have to worry about it.
I'm with
Right, but I mean,
Mao.
you buy.
I'm with you on this one, Mao, is that, like, I do agree. It's like, it's not to say that these dice are worse or better. It's just my personal preference. But I mean, like, I wouldn't mind playing a game with them. It's just that if I had to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable. I mean, I just it's like you have to buy new books anytime you want to play,
Yeah.
particularly play a new system. Like tacking on, like depending on the cost. Like I understand like budgets and stuff, but like if dice were part of that cost anyway, like it just didn't seem
Yeah.
like there's that big of a difference anyway.
Well, and I mean too, I can get behind if I have to buy dice for every single system I play,
Yeah.
That would be such a pain in the ass.
right? But getting dice, like if God, why do I keep saying Final Fantasy? Fantasy.
If only.
It's just on your mind. It's just on your mind.
I do this all the time with them. I'm just gonna start calling them FFG.
Imagine if Square Enix bought Legend of the Five Rings.
I mean,
Everybody would be a boy band.
Yes. It'd be majestic.
but I mean, like if all of FFG's RPGs all use those same dice with those same symbols,
yeah,
then it
becomes less of an
toxic
issue
as
for
well.
sure.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't think that's going to be the case though, because the Star Wars ones have some symbols that are like the big ultimate, like positive one that you can get is the symbol of the Jedi Order. So, or at least
Yeah.
is very cognizant of it. So it's like, that's not necessarily going to work as well. But
Yeah.
if you know the stuff though, it still could.
If they
even though
work
you're
the same
not-
way, then and are all
Yeah,
like
like
the
if
same
it- if the
spacing,
image.
yeah.
If L5R is built on any way the Genesis system, then it will use the same dice.
right?
Of like because they have their own their agnostic or whatever RPG, the Genesis system, which lets you plug in any setting.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the other thing about, at least with these dice, because they're not only are they usually called a specialty, but they're usually labeled as narrative dice.
Right.
I think that they work really well in games where there is a setting-heavy narrative, like Star Wars and like L5R. Just because there's enough stuff there for you to kind of springboard off of. If it was just a general D&D campaign, I don't think they would work as well, just because the feel of the game is different. There's not as much stuff for the players to immediately latch onto and to be able to work with the dice. If that makes sense.
You know what, actually, like, something I was just kind of thinking about is that, like, you were talking about the Genesis system and how you can really, like, put on any theme in there. I think those would be wonderful dice for people who are not really all that interested in numerics, and they kind of just want to know, like, did I get this kind of success?
I mean, that's
or
kind of
failure?
the idea behind Fate too, right? The
Yeah,
actual
that
Fate
really
dice
is.
are just minus blank plus.
It still uses. Well, I wouldn't say it's a direct contrast, but I agree with what you're trying to get at. In that,
I mean, it's the same similar thing.
It's just, yeah, that's what I mean.
Same
I mean, because
idea.
it's still it's
You're
technically
rolling
still
up
uses numbers and
successes
whatnot.
and negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what is it? There's
It
three
converts
different...
those into a number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the theory that there's, three different types of gaming mentalities, narrative, simulationist, and I'm totally blanking on what the third one is. But both Fate and these specialty dice, I feel like, very much fall under the narrative, like, for narrative players, and
Plus-
less so for, like, the other two.
I mean, it's if they're gonna make L5R dice, like clan-specific dice. I mean, plenty of people are gonna want to buy those.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
I have a problem with buying dice. I have way too many dice.
lots of people do.
It's an addiction.
Yeah, for me, the real, I guess, prejudice to get over with when it comes to reading the L5R beta stuff next week or this week, whenever you're listening to this. We don't know exactly what day it's going to release yet, but I just love Roll and Keep so much. It's my favorite dice system that I've
I
played.
actually don't really care
So,
for it all that much.
It's going to be really hard for me to think it's going to be better.
It never seemed particularly well balanced.
I gotta
It
actually
can
kind
get
of,
ridiculous.
I gotta kind of agree with Mao. I think the roll keep system in general. I think it needs some work. Like I kind of wish that it wasn't so much about building up more cap to die, but you'd kind of get more static bonuses and stuff.
Right.
Because that would kind of help reduce the RNG-ish of things. Because I mean, we've seen rolls where like the average roll of a 10 keep 10 is 60. We've seen rolls that will go like 30 up to 90 and 100 just because of how insane that they can get at times.
I like that. Third edition's probably the edition for you then, because it's got all the static numbers.
Like when you're, and that's great when you roll like 150 on damage.
Yeah.
On that fucking attack roll for it, you rolled a 15, even though it's a 10 keep 10.
Yeah. I think it's just all about, well, at least the original design philosophy of old L5R is the RPG wise is that the game is super lethal. I've seen characters be killed on 1k1 die, or 3 characters be killed on a 1 keep 1. And
I mean, that's not necessary. You don't need the keep system because first and second edition of D&D was hyper deadly compared to what you are now.
I'm just
that
saying,
was a D20 system.
I know, but
My THACO score, bro.
you couldn't die like a level 5 D&D character wasn't going to get killed by 1 dice, though. That's like the kind of where I'm going with this.
But at like level 1, a cat could kill
Oh yeah,
a wizard.
sure.
But I mean, because the other thing too, though, is like some people love that lethality and some people don't. Like, I guess my thing is that it's nice to have as an option.
Yeah, and I like the spectrum that roll and keep can give you for different things. Like, I mean, in some systems you can only go so high before it gets ridiculous, and there's only like a certain range of numbers that you can hit, and it can literally go on forever with roll and keep.
I've never really cared for that.
Yeah, I
love
loved it.
Getting to high levels. I mean, really.
It's also the system that got me into role playing, so that's another thing.
Yeah.
Oh, then you're.
I'm not like super big on D20 personally, but
Obs is heavily swayed by nostalgia.
Oh yeah. Well, it's hard to get over your first love, as they say. And L5R is that first love role playing game for me, so it's what got me into L5R. But anyways, that's a whole other topic.
Game with
L5R got you
Slayers.
into L5R?
Yeah, we talked about that, Mal. Once upon a time.
Slayers.
I hold no real love for that. I mean, any more than any other system, I guess.
Yeah, but did it really get you into the hobby, though?
Yeah.
Slayers did.
I mean, yeah, it
You were
was
super excited
built
to
on
play.
D20.
You're super
It's
excited
a
to keep playing that
D20
Slayers
system.
game.
Yeah, it was the first. Like,
You know what?
one
System
time I had to get up at 4 a.m. and go to a friend's house because it was the only time we could play.
Oh man, it's
Oh my
dedication.
god, Mal.
You know what a system I think you'd love, Obs?
What's that?
A D100 system.
I actually don't. The percentile-based systems like Warhammer Fantasy and
No, not percentile.
not percentile.
A D100. There is a
D100.
difference.
oh, is there?
Yeah, you
A
just
D100
roll
like looks like a golf ball.
like you
I mean,
just
you can simulate it with 2d10s.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's not like a percentile based game. It's like it's literally you have a range where you roll from like 1 to 100, and your bonuses and penalties will apply within that range.
Basically, just times 10 to the d20s.
No, I'm good.
Just add another 0 to your roll keep system.
No, I'm good with that.
You just need to play like a chaos character from D&D where like every 6 will explode, basically.
D6 Star Wars is a really good. I mean, it's all D6s. You roll and keep. It's kind of like almost like die roll and keep in a way, because you keep all your dice on like you'll have. There's like 6 to 8. I can't remember. It's been like 10 years since I played the game, but
man, it's so good.
yeah, it is. It was a lot of fun. I played like a year-long campaign of it. You have like 8 stats, maybe there might be 6, and then you get skills, and they just add on top. But you have a force die, and if you get a 6, you get to roll it again and add it. And if you get a 1, it takes your highest die away. So it's kind of like almost a die roll and keep, as I call it, because there's only 1 die that actually explodes, and it anti-explodes too. So
Anti-explosion.
for lack of a better term, but
It's terrifying.
anyways, yeah, I'm gonna like read over the stuff, and if it interests me enough, I'll like do
We
one
should
shot or
play
something.
it for monthly modules.
For
regardless of
Halloween monthly modules. Let's play We need to do it.
God.
Let's no. We're flat out doing it. Let's call it right here.
We'll have to do it.
Halloween monthly modules, because this could be a freaking horror show.
I mean, we're supposed to record monthly modules this weekend, aren't we?
I believe so.
Which we won't have those rules
We can always suspend it
for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But
Yeah.
All right.
anyways, back on the topic. I guess if you got anything else more you want to say, Tets.
Really, I mean, besides the thought that, I mean, technically speaking, isn't roll keep in and of itself a specialty dice system? Because I mean, it's a different other than the basic.
Yeah,
level.
but he can use his D10s.
Yeah,
No, I know,
they don't
I know.
have symbols.
I know,
on them.
but my point is, because I know a lot of people too are just kind of like, it's new rules. That was just kind of the last point I wanted to touch on. Is I know some people kind of worry about new rules and everything, and it's like, well, the more RPGs you play, the more new rules you're getting dealing
like,
with anyway. So.
I mean, it's just been because the RPG's been around for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
We've had 20 years of roll and keep, and it's almost like making D&D a percentile game all of a sudden or something like that. It's just, I mean, obviously it's a different company. FFG has their RPG design philosophy. They really like their specialty dice, so they're obviously going to.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they might target just other parts of the system to bring forward.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, they kept the 2 decks for the card game. But,
Yeah,
they dropped
for
other
sure.
things. So.
I mean, for all we know, I mean, the game could come out and use the specialty dice, and it actually could be a really good iteration
be.
of it.
Yeah.
We'll have to read it and try it and see how it goes, maybe.
Well, and wasn't it too like I thought I remember like seeing, or maybe somebody told me, or maybe this isn't necessarily fully the truth, but isn't roll keep the of AEG in and of itself? I don't know if FFG like bought the rights to be able to use roll keep. I don't even know if it is officially like.
I don't know. I think it is because the new edition of 7C is like a hybrid version of roll and keep, so
yeah,
it's
so
like
that may be
roll
part
and
of their
keep with
decision
successes.
as well.
It's really weird. But all right, sweet. Let's get on to my topic, which is more games that aren't out yet that I'm super excited to play. I'm going to talk about Code Vein. I don't know how much I'm really going to have to say about it because we don't know a lot about the game. But I know it's something we've talked about a lot in our Discord server, and I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on it and see if
Anime Dark Souls.
Yeah, if you guys want to play it.
Yep.
So yeah, Animu Vampire Dark Souls, and we've seen a good bit of footage on the game, like I just said.
Yeah.
It's I think 2018 is just the nebulous year release date that it's going to be coming out. Developed by Shift and published by Namco Bandai. One of my favorite
Yeah, it's
publishers.
the same people who did God Eater.
Yep. And so-
Which was Bandai going, we want a Monster Hunter game.
exactly.
They made Anime Monster Hunter. So now they're doing basically the same thing with Dark Souls. Because even the first trailer, and now the newest one, they like definitely lean on some Dark Souls aspects.
Yep.
I mean, literally the first ever
Prepare to Dine.
Yeah, Prepare to Dine was quite literally a play on the game.
Yep.
Which is interesting because Bandai publishes Dark Souls.
Yeah, they do. Actually.
They don't do Monster Hunter though, right?
No, that's Capcom.
Right.
Capcom.
So it's just a little funny that they were like, we already have this game that we're making money on, but we're going to do another one.
Exactly.
Whereas like God Eater, they're like, we're going to tap that market that we aren't making any money on.
Hey man, if it's from the publisher, I guess they know what.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
yeah.
a
Dark Souls
cheap-
was a
cheap
huge hit.
cash grab. But
So
yeah,
Dark Souls is literally a generation of gamers.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, basically
also.
like almost defined a new genre or
Yeah.
at least a new play style, which now we are getting another one,
Yep.
and I hope it will be better than the other imitations.
Yep. So coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC whenever it does launch. Soulsborne genre, like it's gotta
Yeah.
get. It's just becoming a genre basically. I think
Sort
that's
of.
just
Though
what people are
really
going to call
the
it.
only probably the only ones that I would say were a real disappointment in that genre or whatever were the Lords of Fallen and then their sequel, or they're not their sequel, but their next take on that, which was the Surge.
Yeah, Surge.
The Surge got better, but it's was better, but still kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, people
I've
were
never heard of
bummed
the
out.
Surge. What is
It's
that?
it's the one with the guy who you wander through the
It's,
junkyard and you find like scrap parts and stuff.
It's like sci-fi,
Yeah.
or sort of
like
it's
very
like,
light sci-fi, kind of
yeah, you
like
kill
near
and
future
machines,
stuff. Yeah,
and you get like a suit? What's it called? Like
it's like an exosuit.
Yeah, an
thing
exosuit. That's what it was.
that you just build out of like junk. I think his like legs can't work anymore. Is the whole
Yeah,
plot
he
of
was
the game.
getting the. I've watched some of it streamed, and like it starts off, you're in a wheelchair, and you are going for this program that can like, it's supposed to make you walk again with this exo machine, and he, the first the scene where he gets it, it's all like he's awake and it's all like just drilling into him and stuff, and that would not be a fun time. But then he gets dumped in a junkyard, and that's basically where you start playing.
Yeah. So this is if you don't know what Soulsborne games are, third-person action adventure RPGs, very like focused on exploring and discovering the plot through like exploration, kind of very like atmospheric games.
I expect this one to have a much more. I mean, we've already seen like they're going to have a much more blatant story.
Yes, this is going to be a lot more like straight line narrative. But so you collect souls in quotes. I think these are going to be the blood vials in this game, probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or like blood in Bloodborne. And I think this game looks more, in my opinion, more kind of like Bloodborne than Souls, actually.
I would agree.
Because lots of rolling, you don't. I mean, as far as we know, I haven't seen anyone in the game use a shield or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to have like a gun, but you get like the powers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you might. We saw one NPC.
Yeah, but like the off.
Oh, you mean
gun.
It's
like
they
a
do
parry
have some
mechanic.
other sort of teleport system thing going on from what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, looks like he's got some powers and special moves.
Yeah, which I mean, Dark Souls 3 had in with their sword arts.
Yep. So focusing on difficult bosses, obviously, like I said, lots of hit and dodge gameplay style.
Definitely.
A lot of people are speculating that Go Shiina's the composer who did compose for the God Eater series. Some of the Ace Pilot games and what Mal and I were talking about earlier, Tales of Legendia, he's the composer. So he's
Which I remember ones of things.
Yeah, and he's also the composer for Zisteria and some of the the spin-off Tales games, like Tales of the World and the fighting one that never came out to America. So the Tokyo Game Show trailer that just came out like last week, I think, gave us a lot more look at the plot. It's very, I mean, obviously we know there's like vampires and stuff. It's like vampires,
like very apocalyptic world setting.
Yeah, vampires. They're fighting like husks of vampires or something like that.
It's kind of weird. I don't fully know. I haven't fully followed it. But
and there's like weird. There's like a mist that people can't breathe anymore that affects them or something like that. I think it kind of like makes you go berserk. Is how I was what I was inferring from the trailer. That probably like the monsters you fight,
which is why you have that mask.
Yeah, which is why you have the mask and why the guy freaks out when the PC loses his mask or whatever. You're going to get like party members and stuff, so it's going to be a lot more,
which is interesting.
A lot more classic JRPG version of like a JRPG kind of take on a Blood Souls game and Soulsborne or whatever, which is a very. I mean, it's weird to say it because those are Japanese games and Japanese RPGs anyways, but still.
But the Dark Souls were very Western influenced.
Yeah, so I like my anime style stuff.
I think me and Meta's biggest problem were the faces.
Yeah, that's
they
really
look something's off.
They kind of have a little bit of the A1 Pictures thing going on.
The problem is that the whole world looks so well done and so
gritty,
jagged and sharp and almost
anime characters.
But then you get like anime faces, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. I hope we see more from the world because right now all I can really remember seeing is like,
starting
Broken
area.
City. Yeah, Broken City line.
There's like the caverns and the one trailer, the big gameplay trailer we saw.
But overall, I don't expect them to touch Dark Souls and Bloodborne's level
Oh,
design.
oh no. You can tell that's not what they're going for. That's kind of like
That's
what.
like one of my favorite things about them.
I think
Yeah.
that's like I think that God like this because this is kind of like reflects on Neo as well. Neo did really good, for what it was, but I think. one
But
of the
they
biggest
also had
things-
enough, like their combat system was like really good to carry,
tight.
like carried
Yeah.
it basically.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
the comments doesn't carry it. I think one of the big things though, like I've seen and I've even commented on, and when I'm streaming or when I'm talking with buddies, is that we really wish the world. Sometimes we really do wish the world was almost more akin to Dark Souls, because it's very clear. Like one of the things I was really excited for this game was like I was really excited to go into Neo and then play that game and to kind of learn about the world and the areas that we were going to, because I knew they were going to do stages. But I
Right.
thought, oh cool, each stage will have kind of its own story that you kind of have to figure out through the souls. But that concept got dropped, and I was really disappointed by that because
Yeah.
I love the idea of learning about something in this area from a story. And Dark Souls.
Yeah,
is
they
all
tried it
about
with
that.
like the you'll find people who, or you'll get like voice lines about people who died in the area.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it like didn't, it wasn't enough.
It wasn't, no. And that's like, but Dark Souls though, Dark Souls is just full of stuff. It's got a great system, and the world is expansive and tells this wonderful story that's
Well,
kind of
yeah.
almost open ended. There's so
Well,
much
yeah,
to
that's-
lure people into it.
That's directly a result of the director. Blah, blah, I'm blanking. He shares a name with the Studio Ghibli guy. What is Miyazaki?
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, because he directly, like when he was reading as a kid, he'd read English books without knowing a lot of English. So like he would fill in holes. So he kind of built his game to do that sort of thing. Like
Mhm.
that, it gives you some information, but then you can fill in the holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what leads me to like saying is like Code Vein in Neo is that like they don't technically have those holes to fill.
Right.
And
I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
we
we don't
We
expect.
don't know
we don't
for sure
expect-
yet, but it's pretty.
Yeah.
We're pretty.
yeah,
sure
I
it's-
should
mean-
say that. Yeah, we don't know for Code Vein.
At
Yeah,
least with
but I know that was a big lure, and I wonder
Yeah.
if because I mean this technically is still kind of it's still young, even for the genre that it is. It's
Yeah.
still young. There's not tons of games that have really been
Yeah.
put into this type of genre, or this mixture of genres, because that's really what it is.
what is it?
Um,
Demon Souls is 09 maybe, I think, but
Yeah.
Dark Souls that put it on the map was 2011. So
So I mean, you've got it's a very young span, so we have people still experimenting with stuff in
yeah.
it, but we've seen what does succeed.
Also, I haven't actually played any of the God Eater games. But I can't say I don't know how they did it in like this with the sequel, but I know the first one, a big thing like everyone said was like it's Monster Hunter with more story, but that story kind of sucks.
Yeah. See, I like. Excuse me. For me, I love the world spark. I mean, I only played Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls for the Souls games, and I beat Bloodborne. Bloodborne's my favorite one, but
Yeah,
The,
Bloodborne is one of
yeah.
my favorite games.
Yeah,
I haven't played that game, and I think it's a great game.
I love the atmospheric stuff, and I love that it's very different. But like that stuff alone wouldn't sell me on the game completely like it does Mal, for instance. I really like, even more so, like the actual combat and the level up system and the collecting your souls, and they're what you use throughout the game for your currency and your experience in a way, and you can kind of use them to help level up your stuff. I like that system enough to be able to like let that as a game stand on its own. But at the same time, it needs to be more than at least what I saw of the Surge, and give me like a lot more variance in level design, and
Right.
it needs to have at least like weapons need to feel different enough that it really feels like a change when you use them. I still need some cool powers and stuff.
I haven't been super excited about the combat yet, but I will say that each time they've showed a trailer, it's gotten better. Like
Yeah,
the
I agree
original
with you
combat
there.
Yes.
trailer was
Yes.
pretty bad, to be honest.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. The first combat trailer did not have me at all impressed, and then, as you said, the trailers came out. They've gotten better and better.
Yeah.
And for
So-
for me, it's Animu and the ways
Yeah,
that,
you've got, like,
that appeal
your-
to me
You've
is
got
Animu.
everything you could
It's
want.
super
Darkness,
It's super
edge,
edgy.
yeah.
It's super edgy.
Edgy, darkness, animu.
It's got vampires killing each other and sucking each other's blood, and giant revenants and
like
party
Trinity
members
blood.
and waifus and all of it. So I mean, I was on board with the game the day I saw the first trailer, which I
Well,
think was E3. Is
I
that
think
when we saw
was
it, or a little bit
I
before
think
that?
it was probably the second trailer, because the first trailer
Yeah, it was a little bit before that.
is well, no, the first trailer is like a cartoon and
Yeah.
looks nothing like the actual game.
I was still on board then, so you know I'm on board now. So, do you think you'll end up getting it and playing it? Maybe we need like a demo to be sure if you're going to.
I will probably play a demo of it, but I don't think I'll end up buying this game.
I mean, I have to wait and see. Like, I'm usually pretty good at telling how much I'm going to like a game just from watching or reading reviews. Like, and I'm already interested enough. Like, if people say it's better than The Surge, I'm probably all in and I'll buy it and play it.
So Mal's like, I need to see some reviews. Maybe play a demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and meta's not so much.
It's not my cup of tea.
Yep.
It really isn't. I hope what it doesn't have though is the horrific Diablo loot system that is in Neo. I will say that's one thing I really don't like about Neo.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I kind of like Neo. I mean, the loot system, it was kind of cool.
It's not bad. The problem is, like, when you start to get to the DLCs and the higher difficulties, you start getting into different tiers of weapons that cannot work with one another or are better, and then you can't, like, fuse your stuff into a higher tier. You have to find a weapon and then rebuild essentially everything from the top.
Yeah.
From the ground floor up. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah, hopefully we'll hear more good things about it.
Fashion vein, anime time.
Fashion Souls is where it's at.
Competition, who can make the edgiest character.
Fashion is the true end game to end game.
It's true.
Yep. So that's what I got. I'm really looking forward to it. It's in my top 5 games that I want to play that are coming out next year, at least that we know about. Along with Octopath Traveler and some other stuff that you guys need to download the demo of and play.
Yeah, I still need
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I actually forgot about
download
that.
it. Do it. It's so good. All right, Mal, what's your topic?
Well, Code Vein's not Meta's bag or his thing, but you know what it is?
Oh, I know what it is.
Divinity 2. Original Sin.
I'd never heard of this game when you said about it earlier, so learn me
It's a
something.
sequel to a game that came out in 2014, and starts with a D, so it's 2 weeks in a row.
When did this come out?
As well came out. This came out, so it would have been, I guess, 2 weeks ago now. Taking a week off has delayed my topic.
Yeah. It's been in like open alpha for a while now. It was backstarted in a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I've kickstarted the first and now this one.
I wish I had known about the Kickstarter for this one. I would have backed the crap out of it.
So, Divinity Original Sin 2 by Larian Studios. It's received very well, like reviews and whatnot. GameSpot actually has given this their 14th perfect score.
Yeah.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Which, I mean, is not to say it's like a perfect game, but
well, that's what 10 out of 10 means, doesn't it, Mal?
But it is the only one on that list that is like a non-AAA game. That's kind of a niche genre.
What is
and it was
the
like
genre?
crowdfunded, and so it's similar.
D&D.
Like it harkens back, to like the old isometric games, like Baldur's Gate or the original Fallout, or Torment games. But it's not actually isometric in that you can you have camera control.
Gotcha.
Like it's not built on it's not drawn on, or you're not walking on a drawn picture that looks 3D. I'm at around 50-ish hours in, I think, and judging from what I've read without getting spoiled, I think I'm around halfway.
So you're way farther than me.
Yeah. And I've tried finding everything, which is probably I think I've spent more time than like if you just tried to go through the story.
That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to do everything.
Yeah. So it's 100 years or hundreds of years since the first one, so you don't need to have played. Though if you have played the first one, the final boss of the first area, Brachus Rex plays a big part in the setting of this one.
Yeah.
Lore.
What is the setting like? Is it fantasy?
It's basically it's fairly standard fantasy setting, but it's got some twists. Like the elves can consume body parts to experience the memories of the dead.
Or you could just be dead.
Yeah, you can. They had a stretch goal, which was create an undead race, a playable undead race, and they reached that. So you can play undead. There's also lizard people, which I mean, I guess is more standard now in D&D with the Dragonborn. But
oh man, I want to play Kobold.
Dwarves. Humans.
Yeah, humans, dwarves. This game they really listened to their fans and with feedback and whatnot from the first one.
Yeah.
Because the first one, like after the first area in the first one, there's like kind of a massive quality drop off, which they kind of fixed in the director's cut a bit. I've heard, but
it's kind of weird because like when you go into the first area in the first game, there's tons of stuff to do. There's a lot to like really adventure about and do. But like once you leave there,
it becomes a lot more linear.
Yeah, very linear, which I mean isn't a bad thing in and of itself.
I can tell you this one has not been like that at all yet.
I am actually kind of glad for that. That means it really gives me a reason to stick around in an area and check it out.
So you can make. It's kind of interesting that you can either make a custom, character or whatever, just or you can choose from these specific background origins or whatever, which if you don't play any of those that you don't play, you can then have on your party. Like they're basically party members. Me and Meta, I think we both made our own characters.
Yeah, I made my own character.
But I really thought about choosing another one just so I could, experience all of them or more of them, because there are 6 NPCs and you can only have 3 on your party at a time or whatever.
You can only your party consists of 4.
Yeah, 4 you and 3 others. But they all seem really cool.
They've all got their own personal quests and storylines. So
yep. But regardless, you are all sorcerers with a U after the O.
Yes.
Because you wield a power known as the Source, which you are being rounded up by a divine order because, using the Source can summon forth monsters from the void.
Which are pretty much Cthulhu-esque.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're described as that way, but I mean, like, for the first bit, they're all just like bugs.
Yeah.
But they do start to become a bit more different depending later on.
It's kind of interesting because like in the game, to kind of explain things, like the Source is a very different like power than just like normal magic and whatnot. Because generally, anybody can use like normal magic. You can use necromancy.
Yeah.
You can use like lightning and fire and whatnot.
I'm trying to remember. It's from the first one. There's like this big wall out in space of Source. That's keeping back the void.
Yep.
Which is why when you use it, the void can kind of get through, I think, is the explanation.
Yeah, but then there's
that setting specific metaphysics and whatnot.
Yeah. But then like in this game, there's people who have the access to this Source, which is more than that. And that allows them to do some very potent and insane things.
Right. Light spoilers, I guess, for the first area. Like you learn pretty quickly that your first task, all the sorcerers are being rounded up by this divine order dropped on this island because they're supposedly curing them. And your first main task is which is broken into like 2 parts, is to escape the island. Obviously. And the game gives you a lot of options.
It's insane, like how many different ways you could try to get off that island.
Yeah, well, just because the island is split up into getting past a fort off an island is like the umbrella of the first act, basically.
Yeah.
And I think I found at least 6 or 7 different ways to just get past the fort, which can involve like different side quests all tying into it. And then like you can sneak, you can persuade people, and you can also just go in through the front door and kill people.
Yep. I think there's about 6 ways. I think there's about 6 ways you can actually get out.
Yeah.
That are at least considered to be unique in some shape. Obviously, these ones just bashing out, but you can like go through the side path.
Well, easy. It's the most simple to figure out.
Well, yes, that's why I said simple. Then you've got like you could teleport off through this like kind of you could find like this teleporting ability, and you can actually teleport off to the side to escape. You can go through a cave system. There's a fair number of things you can do.
Yeah, you can talk your way into getting access into a lower section, and then sneak out through some blood gate after fighting a creepy dude.
There's a couple ways to do it.
Yeah,
but the game is really well done. You get generally you've got skills that are essentially broken down into what you want to focus on. You generally have your skills that actually give like abilities, which are broken into a number of different things. Like you've got Hydroist, which is a mixture
you've
of
got-
both water, ice, and like lightning.
You've got stats similar to D&D.
Yep.
And then you've got skill points, which can go into either like a fighting style, like one-handed or two-handed, or abilities like pyromancy, necromancy, warfare, just attacking with sword abilities.
Yep. And then it's generally each ability has like some passive to it as well. So
Yeah.
if like you put points into necromancy, you'll heal like a certain amount of damage that you do, and that increases with every level that you put into it. If you put like a point into polymorph or shapeshifting, I don't remember what it's called, you'll gain like
polymorph.
you get like a +1 attribute just free to spend.
Yeah,
whatever
just
stat you
plus
want.
1 to a stat, basically.
Yep.
They also have talents, which are like feats from D&D.
Yep.
I recommend playing always, or either having Pet Pal yourself or taking the NPC with Pet Pal, because it opens up a lot more.
Talking to animals is awesome.
Yeah, Pet Pal lets you talk to animals, which are just can be entertaining, like a crab that thinks it's an all-powerful sorcerer, or they will give you hints to puzzles, or even entire side quests that can be given from an animal.
There's even the ability that some of the animals can become like a familiar that you can summon out later on as well.
Yeah, or at least I've only found one, so I don't know if there are actually more. But yeah.
I don't know if there's more than the one I know of, but
I made my character actually specialist. I could turn people into a chicken. I can go a tentacle to attack at range, and then later abilities are like wings, hardened skin, Medusa head. It's all pretty cool. I love it. It's pretty fun.
it's fantastic. Your choices, you will have choices and stuff that open up different dialogue options. You can actually do what you create is when you're creating your character, you have these things called tags on you, which will in some shape or form represent a part of you, and they can be simply just as much as what you are, your race, to a certain aspect of, like, say, being a hero or something.
A soldier, a scholar.
Yep. And those open up different options for you. That can actually give you bonuses and whatnot at times, or allow a different set of dialogue options to
That's
open
kind
up.
of neat.
The game really likes it's so the first one they've toned down the story because the first one was kind of comical in a way that didn't really like stick with a lot of people. Like I remember fighting like an undead one-man band in the first one.
Yeah.
This one they've toned that down a bit, and they also love their moral ambiguity. Lots of shades of gray with ins versus means, individuals versus the entire organization, stuff like that. Who's worthy or good and evil. It's not like I love the old or BioWare games, but they just they color code good or evil.
Yeah.
This
game
one
doesn't do that.
You have choices and like
There's like the choice. There's no scale system on your choices. You're not like trying to always be renegade or paragon. You just have choices, and those choices can create outcomes. You could miss quest lines because you made a choice. You could open quest lines because you made a choice. Yeah. And it's all going to be dependent on about what you choose.
Your party members, or at least the named ones that you can choose to actually play as, because like later in the game, because I guess if you didn't if someone dies and you didn't resurrect them, you can just buy nameless party members later. But the actual like NPCs with names and stuff and can have actual motives in the game, and will like if you meet someone, they'll be like, I need to talk to this person first, and you might end up it can cause a lot of things to go wrong.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool. And they can be at odds with themselves. Basically, one of the first times I think there's an elf Sybil who's an assassin, and there's a lizard prince, and they both want to talk to this one lizard. But if you let the elf chick, if you let her go talk to him, she kills him on the spot. And the other guy's like, "Damn it! Let was an important shaman type dude, and I needed to talk to him." And yeah, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
But
it's a really wonderful game. Like I want to keep throwing more praise on it, but there's really nothing more else to say. It's really well done. The combat is turn-based.
Yep.
Should make mention of that. It's not an action-based style game. It's turn-based. You have action points that different actions take a certain amount of action points. Your movement will be based not only on like how much armor you're wearing, but if you have any abilities that might increase how far you can move, et cetera, et cetera.
It's actually kind of can be fairly difficult game too.
Yes, it can. And there's a
like-
lot of difficulties to this game.
I've played all sorts of computer RPGs like Baldur's Gate, and Torment, Pillars of Eternity, newer one, Wasteland, and I've never had any real problems. But this one is actually just being on the normal level setting or whatever, Explorer, whatever they call it. Like it can be pretty difficult at times.
There's even a difficulty out there where
I don't know
it's
why.
kind of like there's like a difficulty out there. There's essentially Iron Man. Like you get
Yeah.
one save, that's it. If you die, you die.
had to reload
Those
a
modes
lot.
are always fun.
Yeah. They also really like their elemental abilities and effects. Like there's plenty of areas you'll end up fighting will have pools of water that you can either freeze or electrify, or poison pools that can then be exploded using
Yeah.
fire.
You've got oil that can be
Yeah, and
exploded
plenty of
with
your
fire.
abilities will also leave those behind.
Yep.
So
You can create a lot
there's-
of combinations of cool things.
there's a lot of tactical sense going into the game, and I've even heard people liken it to the original Dragon Age Origins with like how tactical you can play. In this one, you can like split up your party whenever you want and get a better vantage, like flank people and whatnot. Take advantage of the terrain, send like your range people high up and then walk in with your melee people. It's real cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, yeah.
Yeah. The quest, the journal system is not the best.
No, it's
not as descriptive as some people would like.
There's times the problem I have with the journals. There's times where like a quest will just be open, but it's like there's nowhere. I'll know, for instance, like I'll know that the quest doesn't go anywhere else. The quest is over.
Yeah,
but it
they
won't
did-
mark it as complete or anything.
There were a few that those were bugs and they have fixed it. But if you had already gotten that far in the game, there were a few people that it wouldn't fix that problem.
Yeah.
But since then, they have fixed some of that. Also, I feel like there's kind of too much to do. Like
There's sometimes-
so much
That's what
to
it
do with
sounds
this
like
game.
to me.
There's sometimes too much to do too. Yeah.
I've kind of just gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to do it all in one playthrough, which is fine. Like it's got plenty of replayability
Yeah.
between different party members and just
Different builds, all that
different builds,
Mess
just
around with
all the side quests
the
you could
tags
have
and stuff.
different ways you could have gone through a quest or a side quest or main quest or whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of replayability, and I've just had to just kind of focus in on my playing. But I've loved it so much.
I might give it. It sounds cool. I might give it a try whenever.
You
How
really-
much is it right now? Is it
I think it's
full
like
retail?
$40.
Yeah, it's probably like
I might
around
wait till
$40
it goes on
'cause
sale or
it's not a
something.
AAA game, and it's on the PC and consoles. The consoles releases might be coming later, actually. now that I think
It's
about it.
definitely on the PC right now. I don't know if it's on consoles yet.
They reached that stretch goal. I just don't think they're probably out right now.
If it was a stretch goal, it's probably not out yet.
Yeah,
But
they reached a lot of stretch goals. Oh, that's what I forgot to pull open the Kickstarter and that
Go
stuff.
for that.
It's Steam has it for $44.99.
yeah, I'll probably wait till it goes on sale.
Yeah,
But it sounds interesting with the whole very analogous to D&D and
It's
Yeah.
if you like D&D, this is honestly a game I would argue is perfect.
yeah. If
The
you
way
like
tactics
if you
and
like
the
the
environment
older
works.
computer games and even the newer ones, like it's one of the best of those. Like it's probably one of the best done new ones like that, like Pillars of Eternity and all that, Wasteland 2 and
yeah.
the Shadowrun games. But yeah, they raised $2 million of their asking $500,000. Basically,
Yeah, that's lots of stretch goals met then.
yeah. Oh, that's right. The final stretch goal they reached was Game Master mode. You can build your own game in this, basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
almost forgot.
Oh my
yeah, I
gosh.
even read an article of someone who just put their own D&D game into it, and it worked
Nice.
out fairly well.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna try that. Try that out eventually. All right, Meta, what you got for us tonight? Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Because you know what we're going into. So,
We're gonna hate on something neither of us have played, right?
yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Be those guys.
Be those guys, right? I hate this game. Never played it, but I hate it.
Big.
We're gonna talk about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because I feel like it needs special attention. Not specifically because of being Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but because I I really don't feel like that kind of game is really acceptable for the end product that came out. Not only
Certainly
for
not for $60.
Certainly not for $60. Certainly not for the lineage that it has, leading up to it, and certainly not for kind of the final product and the way it's been worked on as well. So, it's not. I want to say it's not really focused fully on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but here I go. This game has had so much competition, so much to talk about. Where do we even start?
It's just had a rough development.
Yeah,
cycle.
the game was originally released, originally made notice at E3. I believe was the first time it was shown up this year. E3.
Here we are, 4 months later.
4 months later, released on September
not even
19th.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's Bethesda now does that and whatnot. Like, if that's their plan.
I mean, it's not inherently in itself a bad thing, but I want to start right from the beginning so we can really set the.
It is in Capcom's case,
stage.
apparently.
4 weeks, 4 months later, we had September 19th. The game came out, and we've been kind of watching it. If you've seen anything about the game, if looking at it visually, it's not the greatest. They originally, when the first demo came out and they showed Chun-Li, a lot.
Everybody was.
Ooh, a lot of people
that.
were like, "What's wrong with her face?" And they eventually went back and they fixed it, but the issue still kind of exists there for a lot of characters. From just the art style standpoint, if you've seen the Dante picture, it's something.
That made me chuckle the most today. I think we have to say this too, because a lot of people, including some of my friends who like to go out and play fighting games and stuff, and actually take them somewhat seriously. And we were kind of talking about this earlier too.
Yeah.
They said when you're actually playing the game, it's not like so bad. Like it's fairly smooth when you play it. It doesn't look that bad. The characters moving around and using their abilities and stuff. Yeah. It's just like the cutscenes and stuff look horrendous.
There's a lot to it. The music apparently is not all that great. Because if you compare it to the last game, some of the game music is not all that fantastic. They did some remixes and they did some kind of. It's almost like a mixture of they did some remixes of the Capcom characters' themes, and then they did kind of the newer Marvel movie style of music, but nothing really stood out. I remember specifically going through and listening to the soundtrack for MVC3, and it had great music for that game. They took a lot of the classic songs, just threw them in there, and they were they updated a little bit, better quality. They were really fantastic. I also know that there's not a lot going in the background for a lot of these stages. The stage is very bland. It's a stage. You are either fighting in some demonic world, you might be fighting in the Avengers Tower, etc. But there really isn't much going on. There's not a lot back there. It's just kind of a backdrop, and that's it. So there's nothing really going on back there that's really entertaining either. This is obviously just opinion on this one. I've seen some people state that the effects and whatnot for the characters when they're hitting, their sound effects aren't all that great. I've heard other people say that they're just fine. So that's kind of a 50-50 split from what I've seen. The netcode is fantastic. People say that it's probably one of the best iterations, and you were even mentioning that too, Mal. So
I've heard it could be basically paralleling Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Street Fighter V in its first week sold 100,000 units worldwide.
Yeah.
But it later went on to nearly sold 2 million.
Yeah, it's very much people are not happy with Street Fighter V, especially compared to Street Fighter 4.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Since then it's sold a lot.
Yeah,
so it's done very well later on.
It's helped that Street Fighter V added in everything. The problem with Street Fighter V was when it came out, it was very bare bones.
Right.
And that's why it sold so poorly in its initial release. But since then, they've
apparently got a virus if you downloaded the PC version or something. Like my friend got on his PC. I just see this
going very similarly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, kind of regardless of what you think or what you don't, your personal opinion on it, numbers have kind of been revealed for at least Japan. Although I haven't seen any actual confirmed.
And that
source
says
on
something.
This. But we've also seen the actual charts for the weekly top charts of what we've seen for it, and then you've got games that have come out in comparison. DBZ, the new fighter, has
Is that actually out?
Yeah, it's out.
Oh, I missed
Is
that.
Oh no,
Was
I'm sorry.
announced-
It's not. I'm sorry. It's
No.
not. I'm sorry. It's the beta is out. I should.
I was
say.
like, that was announced at E3 too.
no, that game
Don't
is
say
definitely not
what?
out. The beta is coming out.
Yeah.
You have games like Pokken
But
Tournament.
yeah, it's sold terribly, but again, it could be like Street Fighter V. Which
It
sold
could
terribly
be.
originally.
I mean, like the first week of Sony, it's apparently that Japan sold 8,000 units. They're the only ones that have given out numbers. It has again not shown up in any charts from what I've seen. At least in the top like 10 charts for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and
It's
this goes
kinda
back
hard to
to.
say.
I mean, this is something we've said before. I think maybe it was our E3 episode, but usually like these big games, companies let you know if the game sells super well.
Yeah,
they
generally
make
do.
they make a big show of it.
I mean, just to be comparison, like Pokken Tournament DX sold 53,000 plus units, and
that's basically a port.
Yeah, and that's
It's like
a port
an
and it
it's
came
like
out
an
after,
ultimate
too.
edition of the first
Yeah.
Pokemon,
Right.
basically.
And it came out after as well, and it doesn't have like the fan base and the legacy that
Well,
MV
I mean,
does.
it's the-
Well, in a different.
it's part of the largest
Yeah,
fan
okay.
base, probably the
will
largest
give you that.
fantasy or
But
or fiction fan
There
base ever.
are way less Switches out in the environment than there are PCs, Xbox Ones, and
Sure.
PS4s.
And to be fair, it's a very different genre.
It's a very different fighter
turn-based.
too.
Yeah.
I've seen like they may have just focused too much on esports and professional play.
That's something that's happened with Street Fighter V.
Right,
is that-
because
Yeah.
the gameplay and the actual like fighting and netcode are apparently really good.
yeah, that's
Which so
The esports
professional
people
players
like it.
don't care how it
Yeah,
looks,
they-
basically.
yeah, they
or
just care how it
sounds.
plays.
Like they only want play, so they probably just focus too much on that.
which I think is going to go back to is like if they're following the strategy that they did with Street Fighter V, then I absolutely agree with you, Mao. The likely what will happen is the game
They'll
will start
slowly
to
add more and
slowly
more.
add on more. Yeah.
And day
But
one DLC,
that-
man.
The new Dragon Ball Z game kind of
Yeah.
shows that you can do both.
Yeah,
From
and that's
all like people are saying the gameplay is great and it looks great.
It's going to have a nice big roster of DBZ characters that everyone
Right.
wants.
yep. There is
Including a
definitely
new character
yep.
designed
all
by
they are the one and only.
Toriyama.
It's-
Android 21.
Yes, Android
Yeah.
21. She will be apparently potentially I think an antagonist in the main storyline. So I'm not fully sure. I don't know if they've dropped that detail or not, but I
think she's
from what
supposed to be a
I've
bad guy.
seen- Yeah, I think she's supposed to be a bad guy. But there's certainly a lot going on with it. There's a lot. I do know there's tons of hype for it. There's a lot of hype going on for that game.
Right.
I will say,
Yeah. The focusing on esports is kind of just like it too. It just kind of sucks.
yeah, that's the kind of the problem is like I mean again like Capcom came out with the 2 million sales later on for glorious Street Fighter V, but they really missed out on a lot
I mean,
of people
the
early
longer
on.
you go, I guess, like the more it's just going to hurt the
It is.
casual sale.
It is. It's always going to hurt. The longer a game stays
Like,
out,
well,
the less sales it gets.
Not this game. I mean the not this specific game. Just the more a company does that sort of thing, like later games could take more of a hit just because you're trying to capitalize on this one game.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's. I just don't know if it's a good strategy or not. but
Right.
in either case, I don't like personally. Just for me, I don't think this is really a good turn for a game. I'm not really a big fan of a game that really just focuses on esports, and I might be in the minority, I might be the majority, but
I mean,
I
you're
kinda
probably
feel-
the majority.
Yeah.
truth be told, like you're saying, you're
Though
laying down
maybe
$60.
not maybe not the majority in the fighting game. Maybe it works
But
specifically
Meta,
in
you got to
fighting
get
games.
those DLC day one characters.
Oh,
Pay
God.
$30 for your character
I
pass to
am
get
not-
6 characters.
God.
And
Uh,
6
oh,
costumes.
That's the
Yeah,
that's
the
the stuff
collector's
that
edition. Can I say about
pisses
this?
me
the
off.
collector edition sucks. The model that you come with for I think it's Captain Marvel or not Captain.
there's
Marvel,
like 4 of them in there.
The I can't remember what her name is. I don't know my.
It's Captain Marvel. Captain
Is it
Marvel's one
Captain
of
Marvel?
them.
Probably.
Her model
It's-
that they showed as a preview and what actually came in, the
Yeah,
quality is clearly
I know
dropped.
Captain Marvel still is god awful in the game.
Yep. And
Which is
well,
fine.
no, the statue that comes with it, with the collector's edition,
Yeah.
is also a drop in quality from what they showed. And the stones
You get
have
your
been
Easter
starting.
eggs.
Yeah, get your eggs. They've been starting to get an affectionate name called the eggs. Get your Power Stone eggs.
The Infinity eggs.
The Infinity eggs, because they're
They
a
look like dog shit.
horrific
Yeah.
drop.
You
Yeah,
can't-
they're really bad.
$200.
You can't pull them out. You can't mess around with them. They're just on a little
No.
thing.
Yeah,
This game is Capcom literally giving their player base the middle finger. Other like the I guess more the casual gamer, because you already know the people who are going to play this competitively. You're going to buy the game. I mean, they don't care about special edition, but they're going to buy the game. They're going to get the character pass because they got to train against all these characters and do all this stuff and like know how to like their matchups and all that stuff. So I mean, it's freaking day one. It's just something that game companies need to stop, in my opinion. But that's a whole other topic.
Well,
tangent.
no, but that is kind of part of what this topic is about. I mean, that's not really an acceptable thing for a game to launch.
Yeah.
When you show me a product, and then the final product of what I get when I drop $200 on it is very clearly a lower quality, you have a right to be pissed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not okay.
Well, I mean, he's talking about day one.
Oh, well, I mean, day one DLC, collector's
That
editions,
can be
whatever.
part of it. That can be part of it. I mean, like, I
Not
guess
like-
it's hard to say. It's hard to like completely grasp at it because I mean, if people are willing to pay for it, they're willing to pay for it, and I don't want to like tell people they're
That
wrong
they're
to
having
spend their
fun on?
money on what they want to spend their money on, but it's just kind of predatory, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always, I mean, it's always going to fall back to it's an opinion. Like that, nothing more. At the end of the day, it's always going to be an opinion type thing. But
yeah.
that said, in my opinion, there's a lot of other games out there that give not only wonderful, that are worth the $60 that you're spending for just the game alone. If nothing else, they're worth the $60 from the day one out the gate that you can buy and play that are worth $60. If you're not a pro player, if you are not a player who's going to be really into this game, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is not a game I would tell you to go buy.
And I mean,
Right.
this kind of like is kind of the era we live in video games and video game development now, because I mean, I just look at Final Fantasy 15. A lot of people can just go, well, we don't have the complete game yet. We could just patch it later. Let's just throw out something that's not ready yet and just get it out there and people will buy it.
That's partly because you still got to rely on physical media.
Yeah.
Because a game will go gold months before it'll release, but you can have people still working on gameplay and stuff because you can just download stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine too. I mean, people should always be working to like, if you can, you should be working to better your game and solve bugs
Right,
and
like
stuff.
you can
It's just
be creating
glaring
new
ones.
character. You can be creating new characters while the game is like going through
Sure.
the process of being printed on a
Well,
disc.
that's the kind of like what happens with a lot of DLC too. Is a lot
Right.
of times like the game is done, and they're like, "Well, the game's done. Let's start working on DLC for it." And that's why sometimes we'll see day one DLC. Sometimes it's not, and I'm gonna keep that very neutral depending on who you are. But there's a reason why we sometimes see day one DLCs and sometimes we don't see day one DLCs. But generally, once a game has gone gold and it's being packaged and shipped out in physical data, they're like, "Well, I guess we'll work on DLC stuff." We had stuff in the files in the game because they ship it out and they leave files on the game that are, just untouched.
On disc. Ugh.
Yeah, on disc is a bigger problem.
Ugh.
Way bigger.
Yeah.
Way
Like
bigger.
paying to unlock something that is actually already on the disc is
Way worse. I don't want to touch on that. That is a different story altogether.
Yeah.
And then at least with like what was it? Final Fantasy 15 at least, like it had a big day one patch that changed some stuff and added like, cutscenes and stuff.
It was
but at least that was
free,
free.
too.
Yeah, it was very
Right.
free. But that's acceptable. Like if you're just trying to. Like,
But yeah, well, I think Mass Effect 3's Javik character was on disc. I think that was day one.
I remember there was.
Ugh.
I remember there was some controversy around it. I don't remember what. It's been so
Yeah.
many years. But yeah. At the end of the day, like generally any game that does what Marvel
yeah.
Capcom is Infinite.
You're probably going to be able to get an Ultimate Edition with like double the roster
Yeah.
in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the
For
other
sure.
issue.
Just
Is that, like,
kinda
they're
sucks.
kind of notorious for that. Probably it'll have balance changes too.
That's kind of just
Yeah,
fighting
possibly.
games in general. Though.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean,
if
even
you
Arc
want-
Systems does that with some of their games, and people love their stuff.
generally what it comes down to is like any game that comes out like this is that you really need to be getting that game. If a game is this bare bones, this kind of setup, it has this kind of setup to it when it
Yeah.
comes out, you need to be making sure that when you buy that game, you're specifically going to be playing it for that one reason, and everything else can go to the wayside, because otherwise you will not find enjoyment in that type of game. and I'm not for that kind of design because
Yeah.
like this is something like you may mention earlier is like they sold 2 million units later on over the time, but that's with that's after the fact. That's when you can have the price really high, but people can get it when it's on sale, so it doesn't cost them as much, which will lower your overall sales.
Fighting games might just be a different place, right? Like if they put out an esports game basically super quick, and like maybe that's where they're making all their money on this title, right? In esports,
Maybe that's the only market they want to hit with their game.
right?
And that's
Just
fine. That's
get
the only
some
market.
cash off the top.
Yeah,
Right.
Some of this other stuff, but
They
I
can
don't
put
know,
out
man.
a bare bones, barely a game, but that
It'll have good
will do
gameplay
super
and-
well in esports and make them lots of money that way.
yeah,
I guess it just opens up a new avenue, and
that's
like
what they want to do.
yeah.
Then sure, but
I'm just not gonna get it.
Yeah.
right.
I just don't care. And Capcom needs to give me another Mega Man game and another.
That's not gonna happen.
Well,
No.
do you know, actually, what was kind of nice about this game is that they did put Mega Man in there,
Yeah.
like Mega Man X
Sigma,
Mega Man,
Sigma's
and they
in
had the original Dante as well, or the
Yeah.
cool Dante, at least in my eyes. And everybody else is wrong, and I'm gonna fight everybody
You
else
don't
on
like
that.
black hair, Dante?
Fuck him.
But,
Literally sin
yeah.
against nature is what
I
that
need,
was.
to do Dragon. I need to do Dragon's Dogma game too.
I can't remember the game, but they're like another game just came out and has like double the roster, and it's a 1v1 game. In a 2v2 game, you definitely want a much larger roster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's so weird.
Especially considering that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had a huge bloody roster, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was like I think the de facto biggest.
Yeah, like the only characters they can't put in are like the Fantastic Four, isn't it? For some weird reason. So there's some weird copyright thing going on with that.
I don't know. There's copyright
know.
stuff going
Fantastic
on.
Four coming
I
back
don't
in the comics. Spoilers, I guess.
know.
Oh no! I've been spoiled. You ruined it all now.
Well, coming back.
They were the actual the family or whatever, not the torture thing. Were they were off like spinning off new galaxies, so they were like out of commission for a couple years, but now they're back or coming back.
At first, I thought you might have been talking about us getting a new horrible Fantastic Four movie.
No, I'm talking actual comics.
Okay, gotcha.
They can't seem to do them at all in movies.
No,
Well,
they
it's
can't.
because it's Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then you have like Deadpool.
Fox can only do Deadpool and every other like X-Men
X-Men,
movie
yeah.
apparently.
I think what it really just comes down to is that there's certain people that are on these movies who clearly care or who know what they're doing.
Well, yeah.
And games.
I'm sure if
then-
Marvel had the rights to Fantastic Four, we'd probably get a pretty good Fantastic
I'm-
Four.
I'm sure
We'd
we
get
would.
the best one. Out of-
Probably.
I just
Honestly,
want a
would agree with
Doctor
you.
Doom movie. That's all I need.
Like, it still might be the worst Marvel one, but it'd definitely be the best Fantastic Four movie. If Marvel got it.
That would be really weird. It's the worst Marvel movie, but it's still the best version of it.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like when the worst, when you can say like the worst Marvel movie when all the Marvel movies are good.
Right.
Can it
Like,
really
something's
be
got to be
bad?
on the bottom.
Something's got to be on the bottom, but is it?
It can
really
be the worst
bad?
Marvel movie and still be really good. Like,
Yeah.
if you're tiering them that way or whatever. Anyway,
I don't even know.
we're
what I'd
way
say.
off topic
Yeah.
now.
That means we
Yeah,
probably
fair enough.
was probably
Probably should've
wrung out all we can off of hating on this game that we haven't even played. But I don't know, man. It's just like a symptom of the kind of
It's like I said,
environment we're in.
I've been following this game since it's been coming out because I was really kind of excited to see it. Because I played Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then I played the update to it. I was not great, mind you.
nor was I played a decent amount.
So I would never review a game that I'm not fully great on. But I wouldn't say I was bad either. I want to think I was bad.
I was bad.
I did play a little bit of online. I generally played with a buddy who generally kicked my ass. He played like nonstop this game.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice. Like he taught me a lot about the game. But I would play that, and when I was really looking forward to this game because like, oh, this is actually one of the few Marvel vs. one of the few fighting games I really enjoy. But just seeing it just doing it. So I've been watching other people who've been playing it and keeping up to date. And
I'm more excited to play DBZ. I'll probably
that is the
actually
game
mess
I
around
want to
with it.
actually pick up and play. There's so few
I actually
fighting games
like
I
the
wanna
Arc
play.
System fighter game, so
Oh, I want to play that DBZ game. It looks so
'Cause
fun.
I like Guilty Gear. I like the Persona ones, and this one looks good too.
Maybe one day I'll get my true fighting game back, Soul Calibur.
Never.
Nah.
I just want
That's
Smash
probably
Bros
nice.
on Switch. That's what I care about.
One day.
Original Soul Calibur also, I think, was the first 10 games. Gave their first perfect score.
Really?
What was
Yeah.
the game? There was a game before Soul Calibur. It was on PlayStation.
Soul Edge.
Yes, that was the one I had.
Soul Edge came
Where you
before
knocked
Soul
them out of the
Calibur.
arena and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's that's always stayed. Soul
That-
Calibur kept. Soul
Was
Edge.
that one on one of the later games? Was that one like packaged? Because I think I've played it.
Soul Edge was both arcade and console. Soul Calibur was arcade and console, and it's been
Right, no,
always
but
that kind of
did
way
one
for
of,
them.
did they pair it with one of the later games, or maybe I just played it on? I
What
don't
you know about
I,
that
I
Zelda
don't
and
fully
Link?
know, but if it makes you feel any better, Soul Calibur was kind of like a better version of Soul Edge. If it makes
Yeah,
you
yeah.
feel
I'm just
any
saying.
better.
I think I'm pretty sure I played the first one. I just don't remember why.
Might have been for
Because
Dreamcast.
you wanted to play it,
PlayStation.
Mal. Yeah.
No, I've never owned any.
It could have
fighting
been,
games,
man.
Basically,
I think it was on a demo disc, and that's how I ended up
That
might have.
convincing my parents to get me the game. So
Or it wasn't called Soul Edge. It was called Soul Blade, I think.
it was something like that.
It was Soul
Mhm.
Blade. That's what it's called. I just looked it up. It is called Soul Blade.
no. Soul Edge is
It had
the
a
first
pirate in it.
installment of the Soul series.
What?
Yeah. You're
Oh,
both
it's called
wrong.
Soul Edge, and then apparently it's called. Because if you look up Soul Edge, you'll see right there PlayStation, Namco, Soul Blade. You'll say it
Oh.
right on the cover. But apparently it's called Soul Edge as
You're
well.
both wrong. It
I don't
was
know.
Soul Sword.
Soul.
Anyway.
Soul Katana.
Soul Katana.
All right, this has been episode 26 of the podcast of Five Rings. Your source for enlightenment, the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of podcast Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud. And now I'll talk about topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Fridays. If you didn't notice by now, Tets has been gone since after his topic. He had to leave early. we didn't mention it, so that's why I was like, Tets really likes Soul Calibur. Oh yeah, he's not here.
Yeah.
All right, check us out on social media, Podcast 5R, on Twitter, Facebook, P5R Podcast. Check out Meta Stream, where you can see his fiance wipe with 1% on
Yes.
her boss in
She's very
Final Fantasy
happy with
14. She was
I also-
she was
I
very
also just-
upset.
She's very upset. I also just finished up Chapter 3 of almost finished up Chapter 3 of Final Fantasy Tactics, but if you want to see a really quick way, if you really want to see a really quick way to beat Weegraph, you can just go right to the end, and I will actually show you how
Oh, you
can
cheesy
essentially,
little man.
It'll literally show you how to like one round him.
You cheeser.
I didn't cheese. I just know the mechanics.
Play Octopath Traveler. I'm casting a Geos on everyone. Everyone listening, buy a Switch, play Octopath Traveler. It's great. And we'll see you next time after you play
Bye.
Octopath Traveler. And I'll have my SNES Classic.
Oh my god.
Bye.